Hello, today I'm going to speak to you about course design effectiveness, particularly on a case study conducted on LDT 100X, Instructional Design and Technology Learning Theories. A little bit of background on this. The course was accessed via an archived resource from the University of Maryland Global College, UMGC. The course was focused on instructional design and technology learning theories. It was evaluated via a quantitative measurement tool, the Q-tip evaluation, and a qualitative breakdown of those categories was performed by the researcher. And pros and cons were assessed to make recommendations for improvement. As I said, the evaluation tool was the Q-tip evaluation rubric. We had just started using this. I have more experience with Quality Matters, but this was a great learning opportunity for me. What I particularly enjoy about the Q-tip evaluation is that it focuses more on course design than instruction quality, which was an interesting viewpoint to take for someone who usually really focuses on the instructor interaction. Results. After I did the evaluation with the Q-tip rubric, I came to 129 out of 194 possible points for this course. I will break some of these categories down and tell you about the pros and cons that I particularly noted. As you'll see in this brief photograph that I've taken of just a small part of the survey, some categories were unable to be evaluated because of the fact that it was archived, so we couldn't really see that the course design was frequently reviewed or that we studied the effectiveness of the course at the time of closure. My first strength was the content and resources interaction. When I was doing my background research, I noted that educational materials facilitate the achievement of learning outcomes, which is something I think that we all know on a basic level, but maybe not something that we actively think about when we're creating our course content. Something that I really liked about the LDT 100 course was that it came with a welcome package. So we had FAQs, a video demonstration of how to navigate the course, integrated activities, discussions, knowledge checks, which I really appreciate in some courses that I've taken. So I know they're really great for self-checks and that sort of thing. Readings and handout, and also self-reporting tools so students could actually evaluate their personal work each week. There were weekly submissions and feedback activities required, mostly portfolio pages that required peer feedback every week. So here you'll see a little bit of the welcome package on the screen. You can see that it was broken down, the FAQs, the welcome demonstration course, which I thought was a really great resource. Another thing that I enjoyed was the breakdown here of what you'll be doing on a weekly basis. Another strength was learner-to-learner interaction. We all know that peer interaction adds to the experience of online learning. I know that when I am in an online course, I relish the experience of being able to share my thoughts and ideas with other people in the class because we have the advantage of having peers and co-workers and students that have such diverse backgrounds. You can really get a broad scope of opinion when you're talking over lesson points. There were many collaboration opportunities in this course, discussion board posts, chat rooms. The edX tools were so neat to me because not only are they a discussion board as we see in standard learning management systems, but they also have ways that you could upvote good posts and responses, follow ones of particular interest to you, or report problems. And I thought that this was a great tool because sometimes you just agree with someone, and instead of doing the standard, that's fantastic, I agree with you, that we see a lot in undergraduate courses when people are just checking the boxes on discussion boards. We actually have people who could upvote posts, there were even spots where the instructor could, give a little badge for merit, which I thought was really great to facilitate deeper engagement. So here's a little look at some of those edX tools that I was talking about with the discussion boards. You can see here where you can vote for good posts and responses, follow or unfollow posts, which I thought was really neat because if there's a stream that you're using, maybe as you work on a project or something that you're thinking this is a great discussion, you can refer back there, and I thought that was fantastic. Another strength was the course design. Learning outcome clarity here was fantastic. Every single week when I went through each of the modules or lessons, it came up and told you what your learning outcomes would be, what the desired result was. Ease of navigation was scored very highly in my Q-tip evaluation because you could either use the drop-down menu that they provided, which was really great if you wanted to have a look ahead at what you'll be doing each step, or you could just use arrows that would take you through each step without missing anything. I thought this was really great for the scaffolding technique, particularly in the drop down, because you could see the little benchmarks of where you wanted to be. Built-in constructivist tools like the self-review were really important to the development of an authentic online learning experience. That's something else that came from the literature review while I was doing this project. And I thought that the self-review was fantastic because in an online environment, students have to be self-starters, and I really saw that opportunity here with these tools that were built into the system of the course design. So here is an example of the week 5 self-report. You can see, have you posted an original discussion response reflecting on one formal and one informal learning experience? Have you responded to at least 2 other peers' discussion posts? And I do have to say about this class is that people were fantastic at responding to their peers. There were sources cited, a lot of effort was put into the discussion because people were really giving a lot. And I think that maybe having these self-reports allowed students to kind of self-reflect and see what they were doing and what they were lacking in. Over here you can see what will you learn this week with learning goals. And it was really nice, short, sweet, and to the point, but you got a sense of what you were learning, and then you could see the listed when should you complete each learning activity, which would also allow you to pace yourself through the course while connecting to your course goals. One of my weaknesses for this course was accessibility. This is one of my pet projects. This course was designed as what I called a semi-MOOC because it was a way to kind of guide people into our program if they would be interested along the lines of a certificate program. With a course like that, you get such a diverse population, and because of that, you really have to be careful about making sure that it's accessible to everyone. I struggled with finding simple keyboard navigation tools for this course, and I didn't really see anything noted in the syllabus or in the welcome package that really described how you would access features like that. One of the things that I like to study is English as a second language learners. I noticed that in the syllabus this was listed as, the course is presented in English, and that's fine, but I think that we really need to consider how we help an increasingly diverse student population, many of which may not have English as their first language. Not only are there language barriers, but there might be some cultural barriers as far as what students want to reach out to, what people are comfortable with in a cultural sense of researching, or, even just reaching out to other peers. And I think that as we move forward as learning designers, this will be something important that we need to study. So there's an example of in the syllabus where we see all course materials are presented in English, and that's great that that's presented up front, but also in the syllabus it didn't really get too much of, and here are some ADA compliance features that we have, or here's our policy. There wasn't a whole lot of that on the course. Another weakness, learner-instructor engagement. And I just want to start by saying I know that this is a huge course with many students, and I do want to say that the instructor was attentive to direct questions, but I noticed that they were a little bit lacking in the discussion board, and perhaps they wanted to give students the opportunity to, really work things out themselves and discover things on their own. But I think that students are sometimes more motivated to contribute to a meaningful discussion when they know that their instructor is present and reading that. So I think more feedback would be really beneficial to this course. Another weakness was course content. Students were required to create online portfolios and infographics, but very little of that was used in the way of graphics, videos, or interactive media within the lessons themselves. This raises concerns for different types of learners. Some people need to hear it, some people need to see it, and I think it's really important that we offer different media when we're trying to reach a broad audience. Also lacking were any kind of Web 2.0 tools that I think could have been extremely beneficial in a course that encourages collaboration across such a diverse student body. My recommendations are very broad. These could, of course, be narrowed with some more follow-up. I would love to do a Quality Matters evaluation along with, sorry about that, along with the Q-tip evaluation, but I would recommend restructuring course content to include more up-to-date accessible videos and other engaging course content. One of the things that I noticed about the videos in this course is that they were a little bit out of date, a little hard to understand, and I think that that could be easily rectified with some updating. I would incorporate more Web 2.0 tools in the interest of student interaction and collaboration, particularly when pulling together the portfolio. I would consider, as I said before, what tools could be added to help ESL student, including links to online resources that may work as plugins. I'm not as familiar with the edX learning management system, but I would really like to see what could be integrated as we see in Canvas and Blackboard. Conclusions, I think the Q-tip provides us with a summary of course effectiveness, which allows us to break down category scores into actionable data. Further inspection of ADA compliance and evaluation of instruction. Another rubric tool, like I said, such as Quality Matters, would be of great use. But all in all, I thought that the LDT 100X course was really great as an introductory course to learning design and technology. I think that as we move forward in certificate programs and drawing students in from a broader background, these types of courses will be really important, and I'm really excited about what I learned and what could be a really great discussion board experience from this course. So I really appreciate you sticking with me and listening, and if you have any questions, feel free to comment. I will leave those open. Thank you so much for watching.